Are you exhausted by the constant pressure to be productive, efficient, and perfect? What if I told you the ancient key to unlocking genuine joy, creativity, and even profound wisdom lies in embracing something society tells you to avoid, your inner fool? Stay tuned, because what you're about to discover about this misunderstood archetype will change how you see yourself and the world forever. The fool. Just the word conjures images, doesn't it? From the court jester causing surprise and laughter since time immemorial to that relatable, recurring figure we see in stories and, if we're honest, sometimes in the mirror. We seem to instinctively worship folly, seeing it in others, in the world, and even, sometimes reluctantly, displaying it ourselves. It's one of those timeless archetypes, a pattern of being we all inherit at birth. But here's a thought. Many of us suffer from a distinct absence of the fool in our hyper-frenetic, overly upright lives. We take ourselves so seriously, don't we? Striving to conform to a world that relentlessly promotes workaholism, efficiency, and productivity until we might as well be cogs in a vast machine. As Shakespeare so aptly put it, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Yet we forget that playfulness is a basic human need. Then we wonder why we're so easily bored, exhausted, losing all capacity for spontaneity, authenticity, and passion. The antidote? It might just be giving that fool archetype a little more space to breathe in our lives. Now, to maintain balance, to avoid becoming excessively foolish and irresponsible, we also need to develop our inner sage, the wise aspect that, despite its wisdom, recognizes the limits of its own knowledge and can laugh at itself. Archetypes, you see, aren't cogs in a mechanical system, they're pieces of life itself, vibrant images integrally connected to us through the bridge of our emotions. The character of the fool is wonderfully complex. Sometimes seen as dull-witted, inarticulate, unable to fit conventional standards, yet also possessing a natural simplicity and an innocent heart. The word fool itself comes from the Latin follus, a pair of bellows expelling empty air, implying an empty-headed person. But think about it, bellows also furnish the oxygen needed for combustion. In much the same way, the fool fires us up, igniting something within us. Back in 1511, the scholar Erasmus published In Praise of Folly, a bestseller that profoundly examined the fool in Western culture. Folly herself argues that life would be dull without her, critiquing everyone, even the church, a risky move that, surprisingly, even religious figures found amusing. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much folly do we allow in our most cherished relationships? Friendship and marriage invariably contain a certain amount of it. We overlook defects, consider them small vices. And what about our pursuits? Intellectuals can seem foolish, spending years in libraries, thinking their work monumentally important, hoping a few peers a century later might read their book. Folly, through Erasmus, likens such philosophers to theater critics who unmask characters, ruining the performance, boring and annoying, really. They don't seem to get that illusions, even if they distort reality, can make life bearable. The fool, in contrast, seems infinitely freer, happier, unburdened by so-called wisdom. They're the life of the party, speaking truth because they lack the cunning to craft lies. Ultimately, what makes life happier than the joy of laughter and play? Folly isn't just universal, it's necessary, desirable even. To be a person is, in some way, to play the fool, and acknowledging this? That's the highest wisdom. The fool often represents a nostalgic return to simpler ways, a wisdom of the heart, not the mind. Sometimes, the down-to-earth in their purity grasp profounder truths than those encumbered by learning. Dostoevsky noted, the wisest of all is he who can, if only once a month, call himself a fool. Literature loves the wise-fool paradox, where the supposed simpleton holds the deepest wisdom. Socrates himself, a prime example, built his method on exposing the folly of the supposedly wise, claiming his own wisdom stemmed from awareness of his ignorance. Knowledge of ignorance is knowledge. As Shakespeare penned, the fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool. So, let's pause here. We're seeing a pattern, aren't we? This fool isn't just about being silly. It's about a kind of radical honesty, a willingness to see beyond convention. Think about your own life. When was the last time an uncomfortable truth needed to be spoken and everyone in power was tiptoeing around it? Often it's someone willing to risk looking foolish to be the natural fool who lacks social filters or the professional fool who uses humor who steps in. There's heroism in that, a release for everyone when the unspoken is finally uttered. The greatest fools, it turns out, are often cleverer than those laughing at them. As William Blake suggested, if the fool would persist in his folly, he would become wise. This isn't just ancient history or literary fancy, it's a mirror to our own workplaces, families, and inner dialogues. Who is the brave fool in your world, or even within yourself, daring to speak the unspoken? The fool, the clown, the trickster, they share traits, sources of humor and catharsis, yet they also express duality, order/disorder, folly/non-folly. A joke can be a warning. Kierkegaard's chilling image of the clown warning of a backstage fire only to be met with applause from an audience thinking it's a joke feels eerily relevant. I think that's just how the world will come to an end, to general applause from wits who believe it's a joke. Professional fools can bring awareness, but many come from tragedy, the sad clown paradox where comedy is a defense. This is why some clowns evoke pity, fear, even coulrophobia. The modern clown, always entertaining, can lose himself, his shadow taking over, like the Joker. Medieval clowns, interestingly, balance light and dark, sometimes snatching spectators into a hellmouth, a visceral reminder of life's edges. The trickster differs, intentionally deceptive, delighting in schadenfreude, laughing at others. The fool laughs with others or at himself, breaking the ice, allowing genuine connection. The fool radiates hope even in difficulty, while the trickster might feign folly to trap. In medieval courts, the jester entertained, spoke truth to power, sometimes at great personal risk, and was even thought to ward off evil, a psychological truth. We need that renegade factor, that blunt observer, in our inner court to prevent sterility. The Feast of Fools, a temporary appending of order, allowed a release of pent-up energies, a societal safety valve. The jester, an insider-outsider, could ridicule the king, their cap, and bells a mock crown. Anyone challenging the status quo is often deemed a fool by the fearful. They represent rejected values, agents of change, disrupting and uncovering cultural foundations. Often, these jesters had physical deformities, their exclusion forcing them to discover inner depths and wisdom. King Lear's deep bond with his fool highlights this dependency, the fool as alter ego reversing power dynamics. And what of the fool in myth? Parsifal, the young fool, leaves his mother to become a knight. He finds the Grail castle where the Fisher King is wounded, his land baron, a potent metaphor for how psychological wounds manifest externally. Every adolescent receives this Fisher King wound, the painful graduation into self-consciousness. But it's this first contact with a wound that can lead to redemption. Parsifal, initially forgetting his training and failing to ask the healing question due to a mother complex, takes 20 years to find the castle again. Many versions say he finally asks, whom does the Grail serve? Healing the king. The Grail is life's meaning. Meaning is serving that higher self. As Jungian analyst Robert A. Johnson put it, a man must look to a foolish, innocent, adolescent part of himself for his cure. Consider Don Quixote, driven mad by chivalry books, tilting at windmills, attacking imaginary enemies. His idealism, however well-intentioned, causes harm. Yet, despite his madness, he's witty. It's a warning, even the intelligent can be foolish. When he awakens from his madness, realizing he wasted his life, tragedy replaces comedy. Those who scorned him now pity him. It begs the question, better to know truth and be unhappy, or live in a fool's paradise? Dostoevsky's The Idiot explores this with Prince Mishkin, a positively beautiful individual in a corrupt world. His innocence and frankness, seen as idiocy, satirize society. He asks why choose unhappiness, preferring acts of kindness. Beauty will save the world, he declares. And in fairy tales, it's often the youngest, simplest brother, the fool, who wins the princess. Ivan the Fool in Russian folklore, taken advantage of for his naivety, ultimately triumphs through simple living and forgiveness, even making devils vanish by blessing them. The man with nothing receives everything. This brings us to the tarot. The Fool, card 0, holds a white rose, innocence, a small bundle, willing to sacrifice, looking skyward, about to step off a cliff, a dog trying to warn him. Tarot, itself rooted in Tarot, foolishness, depicts the fool's journey, akin to the hero's journey. Leaving comfort, facing dragons, fears, gaining treasure, wisdom/love, and returning to share it. It's a psychological death and rebirth. The fool is always becoming, the initiation into life's mystery. Jung used such archetypal images for amplification, understanding the psyche. 0, its circular form symbolizing infinity, the Ouroboros, the world egg all point to original wholeness, paradise, the pleroma where past, present, future coexist. The dot in the circle, the ego within the self. It's not I who create myself, rather I happen to myself, Jung wrote. The fool's image has morphed beggar, mad and jester. From ragged clothes and feathers to bagpipes and bells, even blindfolded, acting by insight, not eyesight. The rider-waite image of falling off a cliff is iconic. Psychologically, the fool is the precursor to transformation, a new beginning. Nothing starts without him. Inventors and geniuses have almost always been looked on as no better than fools, observed one writer. This is Shoshin Zen's beginner's mind, open to possibilities, unlike the expert's mind. This openness cultivates silence, space for the numinous. The soul demands your folly, not your wisdom, said Jung. Deviating from life's linear path is seen as foolish, yet that first foolish step is crucial. The fool lives in the moment, unafraid of change, thinking on his feet. It's the fear of uncertainty that paralyzes us. But failure can open unexpected doors. In filth it will be found, alchemists said. What you need most is where you least wish to look. The fool often has no idea what he's getting into, which is perhaps his saving grace. But the fool has a shadow. Stubbornness can lead to falling off that cliff. That inner voice, be careful, you'll make a fool of yourself, is the voice of conformity, the dark side of the fool, leading to playing it safe, to neuroses. The fool is tied to eternal youth, it can bring creativity or trap us in adolescent fantasy. Like a child half in the rational world, the fool is somewhat released from daily pressures. Marie-Louise von Franz equated the fool with Jung's inferior function, our most undeveloped psychic aspect, yet also the bridge to the unconscious, holding the key to our totality, healing our Fisher King wound. The holy fool risks ridicule for truth and love, free of judgment, fully present. This is threatening to controlling powers. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise, wrote St. Paul. The fool is precursor to the Savior. So, the fool isn't just a character in a story or a card in a deck. This archetype is a vibrant, essential energy pulsating within each of us. It's the untamed spark of spontaneity that pushes us beyond our comfort zones, the raw courage to speak inconvenient truths when silence is easier, the profound wisdom to laugh at our own absurdities, and the boundless audacity to begin anew, again and again, even after we've stumbled. Embracing your inner fool isn't about rejecting wisdom, it's about accessing a deeper, more playful, and ultimately more whole version of yourself. It's the permission slip you didn't know you needed to truly live. If this journey into the heart of the fool sparked something in you, subscribe for more explorations of the archetypes that shape our lives.